Welcome to Worlds Apart, Words Together, where best friends share laughter, stories, and an unbreakable bond.
Welcome. Hello. We're here today with a very special guest, and we'll let him introduce himself to you guys. So, who are we here with today?
All right. Well, hi guys. Thanks for inviting me to the podcast.
You're
My
welcome.
name's Nyls Korstanje. I am from the Netherlands, just like Marit. And yeah, I went to NC State University. I currently swim for the Dutch national team. And I'm preparing for the Paris Olympics. Yeah.
Exciting. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why we asked you here today,
Well,
because
thanks.
we kind of try to focus a little bit around the Olympics as well, because it's a very special year for a lot of athletes and coaches and stuff. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Ask away.
So I guess heading into kind of like insights of what your training's like and how your mindset has evolved throughout your like training career. So like thinking back to like club or high school swimming or earlier, and kind of how your regimen, your training, and kind of also your mindset has evolved.
Yeah, I guess the better you get, the more professional everything gets. So you kind of got to take stuff more seriously as you go along. Um, I would say when I was little, I just focused a lot on, having fun. And I remember my current coach actually, the national team coach, he came to visit to watch, and he just noticed that we just weren't really paying attention to what we had to do, like we didn't care about rest intervals, or we just kind of goofed around. And then I joined the team in Eindhoven with Marit, and yeah, it was more serious for sure. And I think going into the college setting in the US, it kind of went down a little bit. It was a little less serious, but that worked well for me. And now it's very serious again. But through that, I did kind of evolve my mindset because I had higher standards of myself. So I couldn't just get away with doing things the way I did them 2 years prior. So I would say throughout the years, it's definitely evolved. I've kind of, I don't know, I've had some setbacks, of course, and that kind of shapes you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, instead of just being young and no expectations, just having fun. After a
Yeah.
while, you kind of understand why people get a little more toughed up, a little more serious. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how it evolves a little bit. And it's still evolving. Um,
Would you say like the kind of dip in seriousness through the 4 years at NC State, kind of like that college experience, helped you stay in the sport of swimming longer?
oh, for sure, 100%. If I would have had to do this 5 years ago, like focus as much as I do now, it's just like I think I would just get tired of it
Yeah,
almost. It would just not be as fun for me anymore because I would not have been at the level that I am right now.
yeah,
Like right now I have serious goals, and it's almost worth it for me to go
hmm,
into that bubble of seriousness. But
yeah,
5 years ago, I just wasn't at that level yet, and I think I would have missed out on a lot of life.
yeah.
Uh, and yeah, yeah, that kind of.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, we
you
both.
mentioned. Oh, go ahead, Leah.
I was gonna say, yo, I spent, where we both, obviously, Martin and I both swam in college, and I spent way more years swimming than I think I would have just if I'd stayed club back home.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I
No,
think.
going into college, it's like such a good way to keep people swimming in the US. Like, uh,
Playing any
af
sport, to be honest.
yeah, exactly. Playing any sport. That's kind of a problem in the Netherlands, where if you're like, I mean, okay, if you're like extremely good, you can
Mm-hmm.
keep going and you can keep going with the national team. But if you're slightly below that level and
Yeah.
you finish middle school and high school, you kind of get to a point like, hey, should I go and study because that's better
Mm.
for my future, or
Yeah.
should I go and swim? It's like, and it's an easy choice if you just don't have that level yet. But I
Yeah.
think in the U.S. it's really nice how for everybody there's kind of an option to keep on swimming if
Yeah.
you want, if you have the
Yeah.
dedication, and it can help you go to school too, and just have a nice life with other people again. Have a community. Yeah, it's important.
I mean, for me, it's one of the reasons why I went to the US because, obviously we swam together in a national team and I quit there and I went back to PSV and then I
Yeah,
kind of just lost all my fun in swimming. And I was like, I think the US will bring that fun back because
I
it's not
agree.
as much seriousness, not only performance based. Um, so for me, it also helped to really fall in love with the sport again.
Yeah, no, for sure. You gain so much from not just the experience of swimming, but also just the people around you and the school you go to, and it's just like it's a nice life, and
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a nice break from all the seriousness with
right.
around the sport for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Although NC State was definitely it was very stressful. Like
I can imagine.
Yeah.
it was very tough. And I bet you guys still had like still had to wake up extremely early every morning. Like it's not.
Oh
4:30?
yeah.
Yeah, right. It's not easy. Like,
No.
and it's yeah. You definitely gotta be pretty determined still.
Yeah.
But
Our
you get
our
so much from
coach
it.
our coach liked to believe that we were at the same level as NC State, for example. So he
Well, that's good, right?
he
I mean,
treated
yeah,
us that way.
yeah, good. There we go. I mean, that's the only
Even though
way
we
you
definitely
can move up.
weren't.
Well, I think as a coach, you kind of have to do that, though. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Um
important.
so as any athlete knows, sports come with setbacks.
Yeah.
And I also think that they come with some limiting beliefs within yourself that you have just these negative feelings towards something about you or about the sport.
Hmm.
Um, Throughout your X amount of years of swimming that you've gone through, what are some limiting beliefs that you've experienced, and then how have you overcome those beliefs?
Ooh. Uh, Good
I know we're
question.
getting deep here.
Yeah, that's deep. That's very deep. Limiting beliefs. Um, I've always been pretty confident. Um, the only thing that did limit me and make me very self-conscious and very insecure was that I am not the best in practice. Like I had some guys at NC State who completely outperformed me in practice. Um, some of which popped off now finally, but back at that point, like I was kind of the top dog on the team, and it bothered me that they were beating my ass every day. So
Yeah.
that really did um, put stress on me because I was like, shoot, are they gonna pass me, and am I doing good enough for my goals? And I like all the thing that kept me going was the fact that I knew that I was good in competition, so that I just had to trust the process and kind of
Yeah.
um, keep working hard, but still, and like it was nice to have those guys beat my ass in practice because that kind of pushed me too, to push my boundaries. And I mean that's the nice thing about a team, right? That you can do that
Yeah.
to each other. And I think that helped me in the long run, but it did help me to just focus on the process. Yeah.
Cool.
And throughout that time, I know you mentioned some of your teammates, but are there other like mentors or models who have like influenced your approach to that self growth, limiting,
Mhm.
overcoming limiting beliefs or balanced lifestyle with that college experience?
Yeah, I would say when I came in as a freshman, it was all extremely overwhelming. Um, like I know that you remember, Marit, that in like in the Netherlands, we mostly focused on yardage and slow yardage,
Yep.
and that was all I was used to. And then all of a sudden, um, every practice was intense, and like it was just so it was so tough on me. That first semester, first 2 semesters, I really had to get used to it. And I remember especially the seniors. Some of the seniors, they really helped me out. Um, they really told me to, just embrace the journey and embrace the growth, because
Mhm.
freshman year is the worst. Sophomore year is way better because you kind of understand the cycle. And then
Yeah.
junior year is even better. That's usually when our swimmers pop off, sophomore and junior year. And then senior year, it's kind of like you gotta help the freshmen again to get that growth mindset, because for everybody it's just like, holy crap, what is going on here? Like, you
Yeah.
understand why NC State is so good, um, but it doesn't go automatically. Like, it's very yeah, it really pushes you, and just to grow into that, I really the more uh yeah, the older guys helped me out, the people that had undergone it multiple times.
That's
Yeah.
a
Is
good
that
culture
something?
to have.
Yeah, it's a great culture, and I was wondering if that is something that is being pushed for by the coaches, or is that just something that's kind of developed by like um generations of seniors who kind of started that and just are passing it over to the next group of seniors?
I think it's that. It's a lot of, like, the program's very passionate, and also very, just like it like out like 10 years ago, we were the worst program in the ACC. So at that point, they recruited a couple of people that kind of, you know, try to put forward a good culture, a winning culture, and they taught the guys under them, and we just got better and better and better recruits. So, uh, just kind of keeping that mindset going. And we obviously have like the diamond on our
Mhm.
chest.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you guys what that means, but it has to do with that, kind of the legacy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
of this. And it does get tougher every year, because when I came in, the seniors were, uh, like, they weren't, well, they were very, very good, like extremely good swimmers, but they weren't good coming into college. They really developed
Mm-hmm.
in college, and they were really recruited on their personalities, because that fit into the team. And now we have a lot of top recruits coming in who are
Hmm.
a little more selfish,
Okay.
Mm.
who kind of, just want to be held on hands, like, I'm the best, like, that's why I came to NC State, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And that's a little tougher. Like, I'm curious how it's going to go in the future, with that, um, generational
Yeah.
mindset teaching.
Yeah. Well, I know every kind of like incoming class kind of has their own personality almost. So
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
whether hopefully like they bring their own unique perspective to that culture, but that culture still stays pretty strong.
I hope so, yeah. And Braden is very good at putting that culture in place, though. Like, he started it. Braden Holloway, that's the coach, by the
Hmm.
way.
Yeah.
Um, First year he came, he kicked off more than half of the team, uh,
Wow.
That
because they just didn't have the mindset he wanted.
Fair.
And he made, a freshman a captain, because he saw potential in him to, like, grow that culture, and
nice.
they did pretty well.
That's good.
That's a very
Yeah,
different approach than what you would usually expect from an incoming coach.
I know. Yeah, true. It's
That's really
wild.
amazing, though.
Yeah, he had balls. Like, that's
Yeah.
difficult.
He's like, this is my team now, and I'm gonna rule it the way I want to.
Yeah, exactly. Like you guys can't mess around anymore. This is my team, and we're gonna win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it definitely helped because NC State has been performing quite well.
yeah, it's definitely gone upward. Um, yeah, I'm curious how the men are gonna do because they have NCAA's this year or this week.
Oh,
Um,
exciting. Are you
yeah,
sad that you're missing out or no?
a little bit of FOMO. On the other hand, I don't miss that pressure because holy moly, that was scary.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you'd think that the Olympics are scary, but it's nothing compared to NCAA's. Nothing compared to NCAA's. It's just so much like, well, on the men's side is so much testosterone and just so much fast swimming in the morning, especially.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, like I would say that making an NCAA B final right now is probably just as hard as making a semifinal at the Olympics.
Shit.
I mean, it depends
That's impressive though.
on what type of swimmer you are, but
Yeah.
like I think making a final at the Olympics is definitely harder than making an A final at NCAA's.
Yeah.
Um, but like making a final at Europeans is easier than making an A final at NCAA's.
Wow.
So, you know, NCAA's it's pretty hard. It's
Yeah.
pretty high level. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean everyone, like every school always has their eye focused on D1 swimming, especially well, women's too, but especially men.
Uh-huh.
You see it all over social media all the time. Whenever the NCAA championships are happening, it's like
Yeah.
it's an event.
No, it definitely it for sure is an event. How do you guys see that? Like is it weird that they get so much attention or
um, for me, no, not really. It
makes
was
sense?
because I've never really been that I talk about swimming outside of like swimming.
Right.
Because I was in the water so much, so I kind of try to stay away from all of what was happening when I
Yeah, of
wasn't
course.
swimming.
No, for sure. I get you.
Um, but then I know like the team would always just have live streams of NCAA's on
Right.
repeat.
Right.
It was
Oh,
a big happening for sure.
okay. Interesting.
And
Hmm.
Leah, what is your thought?
Back home, it's not a thing. Everyone knows it hasn't grown. So like, I feel like, so I grew up in Australia. I
Oh,
have
okay.
dual
Gotcha.
citizenship. So when I say back home, that's where my parents currently are and my
Yeah,
younger
gotcha.
siblings. Um, when I was 10 years ago, when I was being recruited and looking to come back here, it wasn't as common to have an Australian swimmer leave Australia and come to the US for college to continue swimming.
Hmm.
It like
Oh,
kind of like how you were describing earlier. It's like you either make it to the national level and you keep going for Australia, or you like retire and go
right.
to school or get a job. So very few when I was going through it were actually coming over here. So you never really saw anyone caring what was happening in NCAAs
Yeah,
or
right.
anything like that. It is growing more. I want to say in the past 3, 5 years,
Hmm.
that has increased, and I think people are starting to care a little bit more. Swimmers who have come to the US for college swimming have gone back and made some pretty good impressions. And I
Right.
think it's just starting to open up over there now a little bit more. And not
Yeah.
just in swimming, like in water polo too. They're starting to
Uh-huh.
venture over this way. So it's a little different. I mean, I always knew before we even moved to Australia, like when I was really little, I wanted to swim in college. So that was always a goal of mine. But as a culture, that was,
Yeah.
very
Well, to
different.
kind of hone in on that, I don't think I've ever heard anyone within the Dutch swimming world talk about NCAA swimming.
Nah, for sure not.
Not really. It's
It's
really like
sports.
D2 teams in the US, they talk about NCAA
Yeah.
championships.
Yeah.
Because it's just, very American culture.
Yeah.
No,
But
it's important
outside
to
of
me.
that, I don't think anybody really cares. Like
No.
whenever Caleb Dressel went super fast that one time, like yeah, people
That
talked about
one
it.
time he went.
That one time he went really fast.
No, yeah. Kind of when he had his, like, what Gretchen Walsh has now, kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
like just outstanding performance. Yeah, but
exactly.
it kind of blows though, because people don't understand the times here, because
Yeah.
it's
No,
yards.
because it's yards. And
Yeah,
it's like it's so damn fast.
yeah. You can't put it into perspective here.
No.
Like I was telling Thomas Janssen
Oh
about
yeah.
how Gretchen Walsh is a serious threat to Marit, Marit Steenbergen at the Olympics. And he was like,
Yeah.
nah. It doesn't
Yeah, she
translate.
is.
I mean, she might pop off. Like, I could see her win 3 medals. Like, we'll have to
Yeah,
see. But,
easily. Yeah.
um, but
It's just so different, like the
no, it is.
times.
Yeah, it is. It's
Um,
very different.
but for people who've been in it and they understand,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, wow, that was
Right.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
But then, those types of performances, they do reach across the ocean.
Yeah, like absurd
Um,
performances. Yeah.
yeah, but besides that, only if people from the Netherlands followed you probably throughout your
Uh,
college journey, so they saw what you did during NCAA's, but besides
yeah.
that, they probably didn't really care too much about it.
No, true. It is. That is a little. It's kind of a bummer though, because like I went that one year at NCAA's. I went 18-6 in the 50 free, and I
Nice.
had an 18-0 split on the relay, which is
Wow.
like, which is pretty dang fast, right?
Yeah.
18-0. I think that was the fourth fastest split ever, and no one here cared.
Yeah.
I didn't even get put on the relay, the 4x50 freestyle relay, short course,
Really?
at Short Course Worlds, because they just didn't know I was a 50 freestyler.
Yeah.
Uh, and that, that is a bummer, because usually with a time like that, you'd always get consideration,
Yeah.
100%.
but not, yeah, I guess they just don't care as much, but
I think it also
well,
started changing, which is kind of like a weird tangent, but when we had the series of Olympians go through college swimming, so Caleb Dressel, Katie Ledecky, and like that whole era, that really
uh,
brought
Nyls
more.
Korstanje.
Yes.
not yet.
But
I'll be there one day.
it
Yeah.
brought like when all of those that whole like era of people went
Mhm.
through NCAA's and people saw them making Olympics and making Europeans and making these bigger teams based off
Yeah.
of the training they'd done in the US. I think that kind of also started opening the eyes to the
Yeah.
world of what NCAA's is.
Yeah.
No, for sure. You definitely see it in France now. There's so many more people going there because of Lyon.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. All right. Let's go on.
Enough NCAA's.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, well, to kind of switch topics, but not entirely, we're still
Mhm.
kind of comparing collegiate swimming and what you're doing now. So obviously, you swam yards in the US,
Right.
and now it's probably long course meters that you're
Yeah.
practicing on.
100%. Yeah.
That requires some shift in physique and probably
Hmm.
mental.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about that shift?
Um, well, it was definitely so every year, after school's done, I would go back to the Netherlands to focus on the international meets. And that was always a difficult switch because, you'd go from a very yards focused mindset with a lot of speed and a lot of high intensity to a more maintainable and yardage driven focus in long course meters.
Yeah.
So that switch at first was extremely difficult, but once I went through it a couple times, it was easier. Um, I don't know what I prefer, to be honest. I think I like them both. I'm glad I don't have to put as much preference on underwaters now, in meters, because that was just not. I mean, I was fine at underwaters, but it wasn't my strength. I'm not like Coleman Stewart, who's just an absolute dog. with
Yeah.
underwaters and just kind of blows at swimming. With all due respect to Coleman, but or Kasper Sikowski, other guy from NC State. Gretchen Walsh could be one of those. We just don't know yet.
Yeah.
But I was fine with the translation into long course because I'm more of a swimmer than an underwater swimmer. So, yeah, I do prefer the more when it comes to training. I do prefer more short course training more because it's more intensity and less yardage. Um, but yeah, I think it helps on both sides,
Yeah.
practicing both. So
So right now, because you're in prep for the Olympics, right?
yeah,
Is it all long course training or are you sometimes doing short?
no, it's 100% long course. Yeah.
How is that for you right now?
Um, it's all right. It's as a butterflyer, it's a little difficult because I can't be doing slow yardage or slow meters in butterfly.
Yeah.
It's not that like I can do 4x200 butterfly. It's not
No.
really a thing. So I really have to pick my moments to do butterfly. And in yards, I think that was just easier because it's just yeah, I don't know, it's just less strokes that you have to take and it's less
More
intense.
underwaters.
Yeah, exactly. That too. Yeah. But yeah, I think when it comes to peak power, which is very important for butterfly, it's easier to do that in yards, but it's also possible in meters. It's just it's just not as obvious, it's not as much in your face. Um, just like it's easier to build your endurance in meters long course because it's just in your face,
Yeah.
and in yards that's more difficult. Uh, so yeah.
Kind of building off, we've talked a lot about like actual swim training and yards, meters, so forth. But
Uh-huh.
are there any specific habits or like mental preparation training that you've developed or are currently doing heading into the Olympic year or just training more
Mhm.
professionally?
Yeah, so this year I'm putting more of an emphasis on racing, kind of getting more comfortable with racing because in the past years I've always put a more emphasis on training, uh, because I thought I really needed to get better at
Mm-hmm.
swimming.
Mm-hmm.
This year I just need to get better at racing. I need to kind of get comfortable with it. I don't know if you guys followed World Championships in
Yeah.
Doha.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you saw my final, Hunter
Yeah.
Fly. Okay, great. Um, I yeah, I almost became world champion, but
It was very close.
it was very close, but I flunked my last 15 meters because I kind of overswam myself. Um, and that's something you can only get from experience. Like I wish I would have done that prior to world championships so that I knew that was a um like a difficult point for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, coming off of that, I've really thought about ways to just get more comfortable in racing. Um, I got fourth there, which hurt a lot, to a point where I was probably at my weakest in my life. Because yeah, I don't know, I just didn't feel like going on. Because it was all that mattered for me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and but the nice thing about getting fourth was that I really did um like refocus on what I had to do, and like the real winners, they have lost so many times
Mm-hmm.
and they have changed their strategy because of that, and that's how they became real winners. So I think that's like a positive I can take away from that, that I'm really like I just got yeah, I learned the hard way, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Everyone does at some point.
yeah, that's life, it's part
Especially
of life.
in
Yeah,
professional sports, I feel like you have to hit this wall to really realize, like, oh, this needs to change.
yeah, no, for sure, for
And it
sure.
hurts more because it's, you know, it's at a world championships where you're supposed to, you know, peak perform, and then something like that happens and you're just like, well,
Yeah, that's not what I wanted, but
exactly.
Back to the drawing
yeah,
board.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to kind of hone in on Leah's question, um, what are some of those things that you've kind of added into your routine to consistently be like contributing some time to that personal growth or that growth as a athlete?
Um,
Or do you not have any specifics in your routine? That's also possible, of
um,
course.
well, now I do. Like, I always had some, like, I really like to just chill out before my race. I need to talk to people. That's kind of a way that I loosen a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But now I've really like kind of built a strategy for the next months heading into the Olympics. Like I have 14 100 flies left before I race at the Olympics. So I've got 14 tries to kind of find a way to be more what's it called? Um, confident. I'm just trying to get more
Okay.
confident in my racing and in my strategy, and just in general, just make it like a routine, you know, racing.
Yeah.
Like when I'm at the Olympics, it shouldn't be uh that
Trial and
I'm gonna
error.
do well, I shouldn't be doing something that I've never done before, you
Right.
know? I
Yeah.
shouldn't be at that mind with that mindset like, hey, and now I need to like overperform. I
Mhm.
just need to do my things and I need to do
Yeah.
that right.
Yeah.
Uh and so now I'm gonna try to usually I kind of leave the shaving and leave my caffeine intake and leave my like all the supplementation for the very last moment because it's extremely uncomfortable, but it's necessary, you know? Like I need to do it in that moment because that's when I need to do a peak performance, but it's extremely uncomfortable. Like you just don't sleep
Yeah.
because of the caffeine. But I
We've
think I
been
just,
there.
yeah, exactly, right? Um, and I'm gonna try that more often to kind of
Okay.
get comfortable with
Mhm.
the discomfort almost.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that might help me to get more confidence.
Okay.
Uh, so that's something I'm working on right now. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
No, I
yeah,
don't
you're
know. I don't
welcome.
think I've ever had anyone like say, "Yeah, we're gonna have caffeine more caffeine." But it does
Yeah,
make sense. Yeah, you definitely have to trial and error and get all your rituals and everything set up before the big moment because, like you
right.
said, you really don't want to try anything new at
No,
that point.
It's like,
yeah,
hey, Olympic final, let's try something completely
yeah,
different.
exactly. Yeah, you don't want to wait for that moment.
No.
So during this like year, because it's quite a long year, especially when you're in such intense training, and like you said, you have 1,400 flies left. What are some
Mhm.
ways that you kind of keep that swim life balance, kind of reverting back to that more seriousness back in the Netherlands? What are
Yeah.
some ways that you kind of keep that life balance, or if
Well,
it's
now
not all
it's
the time?
yeah. Well, now it's a little more difficult because I don't have school to kind of distract me, and I don't really have a whole lot of friends here. Um, it's more like my teammates are more my colleagues now
Mhm.
and less my friends, you know. And in the US it would just always be that you're living with your teammates
Yeah.
and you do everything with your teammates. Here it's a little less like that. Um so yeah, I over the weekend I'm at home and I spend a lot of time in nature with my family. So that's really nice and with my dog. Um
What's your dog's name?
it's Buddy. Buddy.
Oh.
Buddy.
Buddy, yeah. Great dog. I love Buddy. Um, but yeah, it's that's something I'm trying to figure out myself still. Like how am I able to balance that?
It's hard.
And
It's
what
hard.
no, it really is. Usually, being social helps me a lot with that.
Yeah.
But here it's just I just don't have that luxury to have people around me to be social with. Uh, of course, there's people in training, but more outside of training.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, to be fair, because you came back this summer, right?
Well, I came back this summer and then I went back for 3 more months to the US just to train
Okay.
with that team. Uh, just to like work on my, like train with the guys again.
Yeah.
And now I'm more in the tunnel of focus.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because I also came back from the US this summer,
Oh yeah.
and I also kind of fell into that pit of like, I don't have anyone outside of my family.
Right.
And only since a few weeks, I'm kind of starting to have some people here and there, but still, the majority of the people that I'm really close with is in the United States.
Yeah. Difficult, right?
And it
Yeah.
makes it so hard.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
it makes us.
So I.
It's hard for us for when you guys leave. Okay. Okay. All of our friends leave us.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
also true. It's the other side of the story for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and in the US, after college, everybody flocks out too, you know? It might
Yeah.
it might still be in the same country, but it's a pretty damn big country still,
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's just I guess everybody kind of has that post-college depression a little bit where they have
Yeah.
to deal with
100.
not being with people all the time, you know?
100%. Yeah. It's
Yeah, just
hard.
having literally a house with your best friend.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
that doesn't
It's
happen
like
anymore.
your
No.
sleepover. Thinking about it like
Yeah.
you're like a 6-year-old. It's like a 4-year sleepover, and then you say goodbye to your friend for like a year, and you're like, oh, okay, goodbye.
Yeah,
Or for
exactly.
more than that.
Yeah, forever
Yeah, no, so
almost.
it's so are you in Eindhoven right now?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
I live in a studio across from the pool, which is nice, and there's more swimmers who live in this building.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so I mean, there's some nice guys, and I like hanging out with Kyle. You guys talked to Kyle, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And Martin Wazowski. Like I have a couple people who I hang out with once in a while, but it's definitely not to the frequency where it's just walking
No.
into each other's houses unannounced, sitting on the
Yeah.
couch. Um,
Hop in
yeah,
bed.
right. Yeah,
Yeah. No, it's definitely not the same, but it'll get there, and especially I think
of
once
course.
you are more settled here, you'll you'll find those people again.
It'll always come. It'll always
Yeah.
come. You get friends usually through school for your entire life, and at some point, well, then you just need jobs and you find your friends through jobs, but then at some point you get kids and you get your friends through the kids parents, that's
Yeah.
like it's just the life cycle that everybody goes through.
It's a continuous cycle for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it still sucks.
No, it's still difficult for sure.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of to wrap up, what advice would you give to aspiring swimmers or the younger generation of swimmers who are navigating their own journey and maintaining personal development and athletic achievement?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. But
Well,
hold on, pause that because wrapping up, I still have a few
Oh,
questions.
sorry, go ahead.
I
So,
can,
but anyway, still,
yeah,
advice is always good.
I can answer that question. I think. Well, like one thing is when it comes to competitiveness in swimming, and competitiveness in life in general, which is great, but in the US, it's very competitive and every aspect of life is competition.
Yeah.
Um, up to politics, everything is just competition. It's
Yep.
complete society. In the Netherlands, it's not like that. Everybody tries to be average, and something that I don't really like as much. But in the US, everything's go towards competition. But I think when it comes to that, you kind of got to treat yourself as your own company. Like when it comes to school, when it comes to the choices you make in life. You know, it's always trying to outcompete others and just putting as much of your research, like investing in yourself almost. Um, when it comes to everything, like it's just plain and simple. Uh, in the world of swimming, if you do better than your competition, you're gonna outperform them, and it works the same way with companies, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, like for young, that's like that's a pretty wild thought. Sorry about that. But for young aspiring people, just do what you love, you know. Just
Yeah.
keep it fun. Yeah, be social, embrace difficulty. Uh,
Because it will not stay difficult forever.
no, I guess I mean, just gotta face it, right?
Yeah,
That's how it becomes less difficult. Um,
that is true. Um, so to not wrap up yet, so we've talked a lot about sports, but you're not only a swimmer because you're more than just your sport.
mhm.
And how has your sport shaped you in the person you are outside of it? And what do you think, yeah, is something that really separates you from the swimmer that you are?
Um, yeah, that's a good question. I would say one thing, like it's definitely the mindset, right, that you get through everything you go through with swimming. Um, the dedication you need to do everything. That's something you can put on your resume, you know. And I know that in the U.S., if you put college swimmer on your resume, it you know it gains you a lot of respect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's for the reason that you have a mindset that most people don't have because you've gone through it. You know,
Yeah.
it's yeah, and that I think is the biggest gift that you get um, from being an athlete is the mindset that you gain with it. Yeah, just doing stuff that you don't always like, but just doing it. Um, yeah, it's just yeah.
Has it made, because we, and I think if I can speak for both Leah and I, we've both experienced something similar where it's like the mindset,
Hmm.
but I can also imagine that it limits you in certain things. Like it,
Socially,
because we
yeah,
are so dedicated for things, it's like it's almost we're too dedicated for certain things. And I don't
yeah.
know, have you noticed something like that in your like personal life or just
Hmm.
outside of swimming?
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to deal with people who strive to be average, you know, and that's something
I
Yeah.
feel
that I
that. I
was
feel that every day.
yeah, it's like I was talking to one of my middle school friends about this. Like he's studying to be a doctor, and he's one of the smartest dudes I've ever met. And he's lucky because as a doctor, it's always people trying to be the best. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's like being an athlete. Um, I'm nervous for when I get a job and everybody's just tries to be average
Yeah.
because they don't really care. Um, they'll get paid. That's yeah, that's difficult. I don't know how I'm going to deal with that at some point because I've always had to deal with people who, you know, treat their lives as their own company. You know, like if I don't succeed, my company goes down, and that's
Yeah.
everything goes towards making it work. Yeah, maybe it gives you a lot of good things to be an entrepreneur. You know, like that's definitely the same lifestyle you get.
Ah,
It's like
Um,
you, because you can control whatever you do.
right, exactly. Um,
and you're already
but
Yeah.
putting in the hard work to make the business.
right, yeah, exactly.
So all all
Um,
Okay.
all all swimmers should be should be business owners. Would be great.
I don't know about that. That would make a lot of businesses, a lot of
They'll be
competition.
successful probably
Yeah, a
for
lot
the
of
most
swimmers,
part.
a lot like that. That is definitely something. I feel like there is a correlation between success rate uh in later parts of your life and being a collegiate swimmer. Like it's that simple.
Yeah.
I think so because we're like you mentioned earlier, we're used to just getting through it. It's like we
Right,
need to do this in order to succeed, and we
right.
need to get out of bed at 4:30 in the morning because practice starts at 5, so we have
Yeah,
to. Like there's
it's
no
just the way it is.
it's
Yeah.
just the way it is. I remember one time very clearly, and it still triggers me a little bit to this day. I
Hmm.
was talking to a basketball player because he was in my class, and we
Oh
walked
yeah.
back home. And he was like, "Oh my God, I had to get up so early this morning for morning practice." I was like, "What time was morning practice?" He said, "It was 10 a.m." It's like,
Ooh,
dude, 10 a.m.? Like, I had practice for 2 hours, had breakfast, took a 2 hour nap, and went to class.
before
And
10 a.m. Yeah.
yeah, so it's just that different mindset that baffles me sometimes. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's all about perspective, and I think that's something you get with swimming. Like it just gives you perspective on how difficult life can be. Uh, well, not necessarily difficult, uh, just on how life can be. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean we choose to do it. It just sucks that
exactly.
it
Yeah,
comes with early morning practices.
for example. Yeah, yeah. One of the
Well,
things.
okay,
Yeah.
we have to first ask, are you a morning person? Like, if you didn't have swimming to wake up to, are you a
Uh-huh.
morning person or are you more of like a late night person?
No, I would say I'm still a morning person.
Morning.
Like I can't really sleep in, unfortunately. Kind of blows. Like
Oh
I always
no.
wake up at like 7:30 even when I can sleep in.
Yeah, that's me. I'm a morning person through and through.
Yeah.
I am
Still wake
not.
up at 4:30. I still wake up at 4:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
4:30?
Yeah, this morning, like I still wake up at 4:30. It's ingrained in me.
Jeez.
Five
That is
well, yes.
wild.
5:30 is late. Like from like Monday to Fridays. Like Saturday, Sundays, I can force myself like 7:38. But Monday to Friday, it's between 4:30 and 5:30 still.
But you're
That's
also not
crazy.
normal.
Yeah, that does not sound normal.
I don't want to be normal. I don't want to strive for average.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
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 I have two friends like that too. They were done swimming and they went right into a routine where they would wake up at 4:30 in the morning and they would go to the gym at 5. Just, bro, like come on. Enjoy your life as not a swimmer. But oh
Yeah.
well. Everything, yeah.
Well, but if it works for you and you like it, then go ahead, do
Well,
it.
True. Yeah, you've got all the freedom.
if I stay in bed till like 7 or 8, I'm like, I just wasted 4 hours. I feel so
Yeah, and
unproductive.
for me it's the other way around. It's like at 9 p.m. I'm like, let's go. We got this. Like I can start working.
No.
So for me, it's total opposite. Well, we were kind of at the end anyway, I think.
Yeah.
Um, I do want to ask though, do you have anything you like to ask us? Or are
Um,
you like, no?
yeah, you guys are both done with swimming, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how's that?
Strange.
Strange?
Yeah.
That's how this
It's,
podcast became a thing.
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, we started talking about, well, we're done with swimming. What do we do with our lives now?
Yeah.
Um, and until recent, I still kind of had that empty feeling of like I don't have a purpose. Well, not in like life itself, but just as physical activity. I didn't have a
Okay.
purpose.
Yeah.
And then I saw a former teammate of mine who started running, and I was like, you know what? I've always hated running. I'm terrible at it. This will be great because it will get me out of my comfort zone and it will push me to do something that I've always despised.
Yeah.
So I picked up running and I ran
Wow.
my first 5K yesterday. So that was pretty
Whoa.
cool.
Nice. That's impressive.
Yeah. So I now have a new purpose in life with
To run.
sports to
Yeah. Just
run.
stay fit. Good.
Yeah, just to try something different, push my body in a different way.
Okay.
But it took me
Nice.
some time for sure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
try
You can
running
take that
and now
time.
I have shin splints. So no more running.
Oh, no more running.
Then you did not warm up well.
I did. This is why I didn't run when I swam. I just swam.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our swimming career is over, but
Just find something
great.
different. Find something new.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
it's a
in
new
that
chapter.
awkward phase of trying to figure out what we want to do for career because we're both wrapping up our graduate degrees this year.
Right.
And so we're just figuring out what the next step of that's going to be, whether it's like continuing for PhD, just getting a job, like what those next steps are. So we're kind of in limbo.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll figure itself out.
It will.
Sure.
Opportunities will present itself as they
Exactly. Yeah,
will. So,
for sure.
and on Tuesdays we do this. So
Nice. Well, perfect. Right?
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, with that, we want to thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight here on your,
Yeah, you're welcome.
Tuesday evening after practice.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to thank our one and hopefully more listeners for joining us as we share some stories into, our personal lives and of our guests. So please like, subscribe, do whatever you need to do, and we'll be back.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you very much, Nyls.
You're welcome, guys.
Bye.